You finish a huge task on your to-do list. For a second, it feels good. Then, almost instantly, your brain whispers something else. Okay, but what's next? You go to bed early one night, actually resting. But instead of feeling proud, you feel guilty. I should have used that time better. You accomplish something you used to dream about. And within days, it stops feeling special. It just becomes normal, expected. The bar moves again. Why does it feel like no matter how much you do, it's never quite enough? Like there's a finish line somewhere ahead of you, but every time you get close, it moves a little further away. The answer isn't that you're lazy, or ungrateful, or broken. Something specific is happening in your brain, and once you see it clearly, you'll never look at your own not enough feeling the same way again. Let's start with something almost everyone has felt. You set a goal, get a certain grade, hit a certain income, lose a certain amount of weight, get the promotion. You work hard, you get there, and for a brief shining moment, it feels amazing. Then, almost immediately, your brain does something sneaky. It quietly resets the bar. Suddenly, that same achievement that once felt like the finish line now feels like the starting point. You don't celebrate for long. You just start asking, okay, what's next level? This isn't a personality flaw. It's a documented psychological pattern called the hedonic treadmill. Here's the uncomfortable truth about your brain. It's not actually designed to make you feel done. Satisfaction from an evolutionary standpoint is dangerous. Imagine an early human who found enough food for the day and felt so satisfied they stopped looking for more. If tomorrow's food source disappeared, that satisfaction could get them killed. So the brain evolved to reset quickly, to always scan for what's next, to rarely let you sit still in enough for very long. This kept our ancestors alive. But in a modern world of endless to-do lists, endless comparison, and endless notifications, that same wiring can leave you feeling like you're falling behind, even when objectively you're doing an enormous amount. Thousands of years ago, humans compared themselves to maybe 50 to 150 people. That was the size of the typical tribe. Today, you compare yourself to millions. Every time you open your phone, you're shown carefully selected highlight reels. A stranger's promotion, someone's vacation, another person's productive morning routine. Your brain doesn't fully register that you're comparing your entire, messy, behind-the-scenes life to someone else's highlight reel. It just registers the gap. And that gap feels like evidence that you're behind. Not because you actually are, but because the comparison itself was never fair to begin with. Somewhere along the way, especially in modern work culture, being busy quietly turned into being worthy. How are you? Busy. So busy. It's said almost like a badge of honor. Rest starts to feel like falling behind. Doing just enough starts to feel like failure. So many people tie their sense of self-worth directly to their output, which means on days you do less, you don't just feel like you accomplished less, you feel like you are less. That's an exhausting standard to live by, because output can dip for 100 valid reasons: illness, grief, burnout, just being human. Here's something rarely talked about. A huge portion of what people do every day doesn't show up on a to-do list at all. Managing your emotions, holding a difficult conversation together, simply getting through a hard day without falling apart, supporting someone else quietly without recognition. None of this gets checked off. None of it gets a gold star. So your brain, which loves clear evidence of progress, quietly discounts it. It's like running a business where half your actual work never gets recorded in the books. Of course, the numbers look like you're not doing enough. The books were never accurate to begin with. Advertising, social media algorithms, and even some workplace cultures are quietly incentivized to keep you feeling slightly behind, not satisfied, not at peace, just a little bit short, because that feeling drives more scrolling, more buying, more working, more striving. Enough doesn't sell anything. Almost enough, but not quite does. You're not imagining this pressure. In many ways, it's been engineered. Let's be clear about something first. Wanting to grow, improve, and achieve things isn't the problem. Ambition itself is healthy. The problem is when your sense of worth gets tangled up with your sense of output. Here's a simple way to tell the difference. Healthy growth feels like, I want to get better at this because it excites me. The exhausting chase feels like, I have to prove I'm worth something today or I'm failing. One comes from curiosity, the other comes from fear. Same behavior on the outside, working hard, setting goals, but completely different experiences on the inside. If a big chunk of what you do never gets acknowledged, start acknowledging it yourself. At the end of the day, instead of only asking, what did I get done? Try asking, what did I carry today? Did you hold yourself together through something hard? Did you show up for someone even though you were tired? Did you simply keep going on a day that felt heavy? That counts. It has always counted. Your brain just wasn't trained to log it. One reason satisfaction slips away so fast is that we rarely let ourselves finish feeling proud before jumping to the next thing. Try this. When you complete something, big or small, pause for 10 seconds. Actually notice it. Let it register before your brain reaches for what's next. This won't eliminate ambition, but it interrupts the automatic reset, even just slightly, giving your brain a small taste of enough before it moves on. Here's the deepest shift. Enough was never meant to be a finish line you cross once and stay at forever. It's not a permanent state. It's a moment you choose to acknowledge over and over along the way. You can be proud of how far you've come and still want to go further. Those two things aren't in conflict. You don't have to feel like you're failing in order to keep growing. So, why do you feel like you're never doing enough? Because your brain was built to keep chasing. Comparison keeps stacking your whole life against everyone's highlight reel, and modern culture profits from you never feeling quite satisfied. None of that means something is wrong with you. It means you're a human being running very old wiring inside a world that constantly pulls at it. The next time that quiet voice says you should be doing more, pause. Ask yourself, says who, and based on what standard? Because sometimes the most radical thing you can do is simply let today's effort be enough.